So, how do I know if my youngster is actually good enough to someday play at the collegiate level? Well, that's a real good question. Because after all, I'm spending so much of my time, my money, and my efforts with my youngster who's on a travel or club team. Why am I doing this if he or she is never going to go on to get a college athletic scholarship? And let's be candid here. Most parents do, deep down in their heart, think their youngster is going to be that special one who's going to go on and get that full scholarship. And of course, the question is, well, wouldn't you be better off putting all that money into a college 529 savings plan as opposed to spending it on a travel or club team? Because remember this, and I keep coming back to this over and over again, less than 2% of all college athletes today ever get paid a single dime in terms of athletic scholarship. And that's coming from the NCAA. Less than 2%, or turn this around, more than 98% of kids going to play sports in college get a scholarship. The rest of them, and of those scholarships, by the way, understand the only two real sports that pay for the full boat would include football and basketball. Why? Because those two sports traditionally are the only ones that really generate real revenue to the college athletic program. All the other sports are non-revenue producing sports for the most part, and as a consequence, college coaches, well, in those sports, they might give you a scholarship to your kid, but it's going to be a small partial scholarship, maybe a very small slice of the full ride, because the coaches want to slice and dice it up accordingly. So let's say if a college program is, I don't know, $40,000 or $50,000 a year, your youngster might get $5,000 for a college scholarship for soccer or for volleyball or whatever sport it might be, but a very small amount. The rest of the money is being paid for by you, the parents. So understand, all the money you're putting into now to the college travel, and the programs for club teams and showcases, that may be money that's not particularly well spent in terms of the long, big picture. So here are the cold, hard facts. By the time your son or daughter is a junior in high school, if he or she isn't receiving personalized letters, I mean letters that are written directly, handwritten notes directly from the college coaches, then you can pretty much assume that your son or daughter is not necessarily on their major recruit list. Because form letters that come in, they're nice to put in a shoebox or in a scrapbook to say, yeah, I had some interest from a college coach, but that's just a form letter. And those go out by the hundreds of thousands. It's only when that personalized outreach comes from the coach to your youngster that shows they're really interested in perhaps having more conversations and perhaps having the kid come to the college campus to visit as a recruit. So in other words, you'll know whether or not your son or daughter is a legitimate college prospect because there will be real, solid, and personal outreach or college contact from the coach. You don't have to necessarily chase after these coaches. If your kid is visible and is playing their sport and playing on a legit travel team, the coaches will find him or her. Now, if that's not happening, and your kid does want to play in college, well, you might want to start to shift your thoughts away from the Division I programs, which do offer perhaps college scholarships, to think more about Division II or Division III programs. Division III in particular, now they don't offer any kind of athletic scholarship, but they are eager to bring in promising athletes into their school. Now, one question I want to ask so you know. Ultimately, your youngster might say, yeah, but I want to play football at Ohio State, or I want to play basketball at University of North Carolina. Well, okay, fine. You understand that at some point you may make the football team at Ohio State, but you may never, ever see the field. So the question becomes one, well, am I better off going to a Division III program where they'll open me with welcome arms and I'm going to start and play a lot at that D3 program, as opposed to spending hundreds and hundreds of hours at Ohio State to be in the football team, but never get a chance to actually play on Saturdays? That's a tough question, but for most parents and their kids, at some point you have to really sit down and mesh this out. And in my personal opinion, the real fun in playing sports is exactly that, playing the sport. Going to play at a D3 program will make a lot more sense for most kids than to go and sitting on the bench at a big-time football program where they may never see the field. Because quite frankly, it's a business in college, and don't forget this too, Division III sports are a quantum leap far beyond any high school program in this country. It's very competitive. So if your kid wants to play in college, seriously consider about playing at a lesser program like a D3 program as opposed to being a bench warmer at a D1. So again, by the time your youngster is in August, entering into their senior year, you'll know for sure whether or not they're really being actively recruited for college and which ones.